Welcome to Pimlico, for more than a century, home of the Preakness. But that's next week. We're here for a different classic today. The Pimlico Special, which started as a match race between the great Seabiscuit and War Admiral 6 decades ago, is a true test for the best of the older horses. But this year, there's a definite Preakness feel. Remember 2 years ago, and two great grays battling it out to the finish? Freehouse was beaten by Bob Baffert's Silver Charm that day. Last year, it was Baffert's Preakness again, this time with Real Quiet. And now on the same track, two generations of champions collide. Real Quiet versus Freehouse. Might one of them be the horse of 1999? We're at Pimlico, where the weather vane, as is the custom here, is painted in the colors of last year's Preakness winner, Real Quiet. But we're here today for the Pimlico Special, a handicap race for 3-year-olds and up with a purse of $500,000 at 1 mile and 3/16. The track is fast, and after a foggy morning, the weather is, well, it's sunny and warm. Hello, I'm Jim McKay, standing on the very spot where the Preakness Trophy will be awarded next Saturday. But today, as I said, it's the Pimlico Special presented by Visa, a race with its own rich tradition. Since its inception back in the 30s, 13 winners of this race have gone on to be named the Horse of the Year. And that title may well be decided later this year between the two favorites here today, Freehouse and Real Quiet. Only 3 others are entered today, but at least one, Precocity, has a reasonable shot at victory. Now let's go to Dave Johnson. He's with Charles E. Canty.
Thanks, Jim. Well, they call them the survivors, the warriors of the Triple Crown, but not this year's Triple Crown, Charles.
Well, the sophomores are all grown up. They're in graduate school, only we call it the handicap division.
Distance, a unique 1 mile and 3/16 race, exactly the same distance as the Preakness.
Well, Real Quiet won the Preakness last year, so we know he likes the surface. Freehouse was second in the Preakness 2 years ago, but he still has yet to win a race outside of California.
And they've just walked onto the track. Let's take a look at the post parade for this year's Pimlico Special.
And leading the way is Fred Bearclaw. He was well beaten for a claiming price last fall, but improved considerably since, winning several lesser stakes, and he could press the pace. Pat Day rides Precocity. The hard-hitting, well-traveled veteran has ground out nearly $2 million in earning against Top Company. He was a sharp second to skip away in last year's special. Brushing Up was assigned the starting lightweight of 111 pounds. He's an honest sort who always closes ground late, but he chases a much tougher group this afternoon. Now here's proof that the thoroughbred matures at the age of 5. Freehouse has flourished each year since his Triple Crown season, winning the Pacific Classic and the Santa Anita Handicap, and he's top weight and a heavy favorite today. But can he duplicate that form on the East Coast, conceding 4 to 13 pounds to the likes of a horse like Real Quiet? Last year's Derby winner, he's lost both starts this year, but very narrowly, very narrowly. Longer distance will help. He's a real threat to Freehouse with a 4-pound break in the weights. Gary Stevens is looking for his 3rd Pimlico Special. That's the field, and we'll go back outside to Jim McKay.
All right, Charlesy. Well, everyone's familiar with Real Quiet, of course, who came within inches of winning the Triple Crown last year. But you may not be as familiar with his principal rival today, Freehouse. He's had a lot of tough battles with horses trained by Bob Baffert. Freehouse comes to Pimlico off a win over old rival Silver Charm in the Santa Anita Handicap 2 months ago. He's been resting since in preparation for today's race. He's a real homebred. Owners John Toppin and Trudy McCaffrey bred him to their own stallion, Smokester. Trudy talks about him as if he were a person, not a big gray horse.
There's something about this horse that it's got a little mystique or something to him. And even at 3 days old, he was his own person. He was just a character, always has been, and just kind of his own guy.
Freehouse burst on the national scene as a 3-year-old by winning the Santa Anita Derby in 1997, beating Silver Charm in a photo finish. After finishing 3rd to Silver Charm in the Kentucky Derby, Freehouse battled the other gray all the way to the wire in the Preakness. But the day went to Bob Baffert and Silver Charm again. After his 3-year-old season, Trudy and John conferred with their trainer Paco Gonzalez and gave Freehouse a long layoff. Since then, he just keeps getting better. Last year, another Baffert colt, Real Quiet, was the glamour horse. He beat Victory Gallop by a half length in the Kentucky Derby and then won over the same rival here at Pimlico in the Preakness. To owner Mike Pegram, he looked ready to take the Triple Crown that had escaped Silver Charm. It was not to be. Victory Gallop beat Real Quiet by a narrow nose in the Belmont Stakes.
I enjoyed that Triple Crown run immensely. You know, getting beat the way we got beat, you know, that was heartbreaking, but hell, I walked in air that most people never get to breathe.
Real Quiet and Freehouse trained on the same Del Mar track last summer until Real Quiet was rested for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, the carefully prepared Freehouse stormed to an easy victory in the Pacific Classic. The owners couldn't have been more pleased.
There's nothing more exciting than seeing one of your horses come down the stretch in the lead.
Last month in the Santa Anita Handicap, Freehouse finally got revenge over Silver Charm. In a 3-horse finish, it was Freehouse the winner, Event of the Year second and Silver Charm third. Mike Pegram was impressed.
I got so much respect for them because even though I was in the Baffert's camp, Freehouse, I'm a Freehouse fan.
But Real Quiet is Mike Pegram's pride and joy, and victory today would be very sweet. Pegram and Baffert recently put Gary Stevens on the colt, replacing longtime rider Kent DeZormo. DeZormo rode Real Quiet through all his wins as a 3-year-old, but could do no better than second in the New Orleans Handicap this spring. In an effort to regain the colt's 3-year-old form, Stevens got the ride of the Texas Mile, second again. So questions remain. But Stevens will be aboard the colt this afternoon.
Spring training's over. There's no excuses. The horse is training super. I'm glad Freehouse is going in there, and we'll really know where we stack up in this.
Can Real Quiet regain his youthful form as a 4-year-old? Or will it be Freehouse, improving every month in this spring of his 5-year-old season?
And there are the connections of Real Quiet, trainer and owner. And boy, what a great 8 days they've had with fillies. They won the Kentucky Oaks with Silver Bullet Day a week ago yesterday. And yesterday here at Pimlico, they took the Miss Preakness Stakes with a tremendous performance by Hooked on a Feeling. Fred Bearclaw. Edgar Prado is jockey, winning at an unbelievable 31% of his mounts, 22-1, 5-1 for Precocity. Pat Day rides for the first time this year on Precocity. Brushing up, Maryland-bred Longshot with Mario Pino has already had a couple winners on the card, 35-1, 1-2 Freehouse. Boy, that is low, but Freehouse trying to pick up his 3rd out of 3 starts in '99 with Chris McCarron, who just won a race here. And Real Quiet, winner of 2/3 of the Triple Crown last year. And Gary Stevens, his jockey, made news today by announcing he will ride this summer and fall in England. First call for trainer Michael Stout. So, field of 5, and Freehouse is the favorite. But let's take a look at Precocity in action. Outside in the green and orange colors of John Franks, this is how he wins the New Orleans Handicap, beating Bob Baffert's Real Quiet by half a length. Now, it's interesting that Precocity used to be in Bob Baffert's barn, and he moved into the care of Bobby Barnett as a 3-year-old in July of '97. The horse is now 5 years old. It's Precocity, and Charles C. Canty is with his trainer.
Real Quiet has been the beaten favorite in both his starts this year, and the man who engineered the upsets is Bobby Barnett, once with Little Bit Lively and once with Precocity. You going to three-peat?
Mr. Franks and I were talking about it this morning. We hope that third time wasn't charm for Baffert, so hopefully we can do it again.
Strategy will be really important this afternoon, the way the race sets up.
Freehouse and Fred Bearclaw hopefully will go out and hook up on the front end and set it up for us.
If you get a good pace to run at, a little break in the weights, 8 pounds?
8 pounds, that didn't bother us a bit.
Okay, Bobby Barnett, good luck. Bobby, 4th in the nation right now, looking to win the Pimlico Special. Dave?
Well, most problems are simple on paper, but let's see how we think this will be run. Now, at the Pimlico, they have a long run to the first turn and a big speed horse with Freehouse, so we expect Freehouse will be on the lead. Fred Bearclaw is the only other horse with a little early lick. He might be there challenging. Real Quiet in a stalking position, and the other two at the back of the pack. Down the back stretch, well, we think that Freehouse will shake loose of the competition. Real Quiet there between the two big horses, and Precocity third at that point. Top of the lane, same setup, but Freehouse trying to go that extra quarter mile on the front end. Real Quiet and Precocity closing in. At the finish, I see Real Quiet up to win it in a photo, with Freehouse second and Precocity third. Charlesy, what about you?
I see it pretty close just the same way, except I see Freehouse holding on and beating Real Quiet. That's the purpose of a handicap. Make it close at the wire. Jim?
Okay, well, I would round out the picture for us. I'll take Precocity this time. And now for his pick and for the description of the race, the regular track announcer here at Pimlico, Dave Rodman. Dave?